All right, folks, it's 12:30 and it's live stream number 2 for me today. Earlier, I was just sort of like working and I thought, well, let me just live stream some of what I do to check out our investments. And I started live streaming it and I ended up being on for over 41 minutes. But check that previous live stream out if you want to see some of the things that I do, how I sort of come about investment ideas, like sort of my daily work routine, which is a lot of that, looking at prices, looking at information, um, trying to put together sort of like, okay, where are we? Where are we going? There's so many things you can invest in. There's obviously just a limited number of slots that, like in our portfolios that we to trade in. So anyway, before I get into all that, let me, I didn't, um, since that was just like a live stream of sort of like my method of how I work, I didn't put up any of the disclaimers, but it obviously applies. But let me do the legal disclaimers and disclosures, which is that this live stream and all the content from ATG Digital is not investment or financial advice. It's presented to you as opinion, information, engagement, and entertainment. All ATG Digital content may contain errors, oversights, and mistakes. Understand that investment operations, fancy word for buying or selling stock, crypto, option, pretty much anything, that you do in financial markets, have significant risks and can lead to loss of your principal. Fancy way of saying you can lose money. I, the owners, employees, contractors of ATG Digital, own, trade, transact the securities and mentioned in this video and all the content from ATG Digital. We do not take money from companies or crypto sponsors, etc., to recommend their stocks or crypto tokens. This has become, I think, a bigger deal because I think like my old business is struggling, and I think like they've had some issues with people that do what we do, taking money from companies in exchange for recommending them. We don't do that. For better, for worse, whatever you get from us is based on our own thinking, our own experience, and understanding of the world. Next, this is like all the stuff we publish. I really have not done a Ballman Speculating podcast, so maybe I should take it off there, but it's there, and I always have best intentions of doing more. I'm on YouTube often. This is social media. I'm going to go to vote today, and I'm going to take a picture and post on Instagram. That's why I'm going to try and keep this live stream a little bit short. I was just on Facebook on Friday for our monthly live stream. And if I find that people enjoy watching, just like sort of like me go through work, I'll go on X from time to time and sort of just like work live for, I don't know, an hour. And do the same thing on do the same thing on Facebook. My voice is a little hoarse from having been on one live stream already. If you're looking for subscriptions, what does a subscription get you? Well, it gives you general guidance. Whatever tier you subscribe to, it starts with silver, gold, platinum, diamond, and then we have purple. Gives you access to content. Four of those tiers have portfolios that go with it. Check us out at atgdigital.media. All right. One of the things I just want to talk about is that elections in the last I'm going to say 3 or 4 cycles. And they increasingly take on a very, like end of like the world kind of tone. Like, every person thinks that if their candidate doesn't win, the world will end. The markets will go to zero, etc. I mean, look, we live in a very polarized world. And everyone has incredibly strong opinions about everybody else's viewpoints in the world. I'm not going to put myself out there and be subject to the hate that's going to come my way to go on about politics. I've always been proud to be an American. I am an immigrant. I've been incredibly grateful for the opportunities that this country has given me, and so I value that more than anything. And it would be, I think, a tragedy, obviously for me, my family, for us to lose what we have. I think people who are not from the United States sometimes don't really get how special a place we are. So that's really what I would say comes to mind on this election day. Um, okay. So getting back to the topic on hand, which is that what's going to happen after the election? Well, I can tell you, I mean, we're all going to wake up and we'll all still be Americans, and the markets will open. Our lives will continue. My kids will be my kids. Uh, I'll have to make them breakfast. We will continue. I mean, right? I mean, this is. I mean, we have this special country. We have these special opportunities, and that's what will happen. And I think we should all go forward and be proud to be Americans. I do not think we should act as if the world is going to end, and just because somebody disagrees with us about politics, that they are bad people. I do not think that is an American point of view. That seems incredibly un-American to me. And yeah, I think like whatever happens, I think in the end, we should never forget like what a special place we have. All right. So what will happen? Well, I mean, the markets will open tomorrow, and I'm sure there'll be a number of reaction trades. I mean, the folks that disagree with the outcome will want to sell everything. The people who agree with the outcome will want to buy various sectors, and then I don't know, over some number of days and weeks and months, slowly, I mean, we will get back to this idea that we are Americans. We are the everything that we have is built on this idea of being Americans. It's built on a capitalist system. I came from India, and I mean, I am very, very aware of what socialism looks like. Um, I can tell you that, growing up, I've written about this in I think it was in my book. I'm not sure if that made it into the book, but we had so little. I remember when seeing cars were quite rare in India. And we would run, I was at my grandfather's house, to like the gate to look at it. Food was, I mean, I can't say like we starved or anything like that, but it's hard to come by. So we've got like this incredible country. We've got this incredible system of capitalism that has been has given us pretty much everything that we have, and I believe in it, and I'm proud of it. And so I think one of the things that I'm going to go do is vote, and then part of I think a democracy. One of the things that really makes this country so different than so many others is the peaceful handover of power, right? I mean, we whatever it is in the end, yes, and people will say this, that, and the other, and I'm not interested in having a political argument. I'm talking about the character of the country. Is that I mean, the turnover of power happens, and it happens every 4 years, and we all sort of like agree to that, and that is special and it's different. But either way, it's election day. I never really actually intended to do any of this. I was going to come and just talk as usual and like could avoid all of this, but I saw this. I saw this tweet from somebody who was here, and she said, "I'm visiting from Australia." Oh, I didn't put it up. And I have to say, you guys have a truly awesome country. Narratives of decline are off the mark. While they are false, you guys are free and live on bountiful land. Those of us not born here are jealous. Be grateful for what you have. And that's really what put me in the mood to sort of like talk about this. But going back to this, back to sort of like the business at hand. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to, I have an update to make for, I believe it is the diamond tier. Obviously, I'll check the news, I'll check the stock prices. My bottom line is that life is going to go on. Life is going to go on. We're going to wake up and we're going to, accept the decision of our fellow citizens and peers. Of our system, and then whatever it is, we will like deal with it. We have we have markets, we have a business, we have an economy, we have a country. It will all like we will have to move forward one way or the other. So I mean, um, if I look at what's happening today in markets, I mean it's remarkably quiet. But who knows? I mean, oftentimes markets will get really volatile, obviously, into the close. And then, whatever markets are open, which is the crypto markets will be open pretty much, as the election count continues, comes in. And so you can expect Bitcoin and crypto to just swing like crazy because that market is open. Obviously, the futures markets for the stock market, those are open and those will swing. I mean, obviously, they don't have any relevance necessarily to long-term value or anything like that. I mean, these are just essentially acting like betting markets on an event, as if it's like an earnings event. And at some point in time, this will all wash out the markets. And then we'll come back to sort of like regular things, right? I mean, we're still gonna need clothes, we still need shoes, we still gonna need food. We're still gonna go and post memes online, and all this will continue. And so, many people will be like, "Hey, I mean, people did write me and be like, what's going to happen?" And I was, well, I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb, and I think that I think we'll all act like Americans, like proud Americans, and life will go on. And the basic opportunity set that for example, that we focus on at ATG Digital, which is opportunity, growth, and innovation. I mean, we're going to have that. I mean, this is going to continue. It has a certain inevitability to it. Why? Because, well, I mean, things that make life easier, better, more convenient, more accessible, cheaper, and offer better options to more people, which is access, they just have a certain inevitability to it. Yes, it can take a little bit longer and people can fight it for a while, etc. But I mean, just think like, I mean, when Amazon came public in the 1990s, I mean, people derided it as Amazon.bomb. Yeah, I mean, and people bet against it. The short interest was huge. Today, yeah, I mean, Amazon is just widely used by everybody. I get my groceries from Amazon. I get pretty much everything from Amazon. You can just do that kind of analysis for innovation after innovation. And what those innovations drove is growth. As people, I mean, in some ways, people fighting against this sort of like, it's like stacks up all the people that are going to end up being future customers. So, I mean, you can apply that to EVs today. I mean, all the things said against Tesla and EVs or whatever, or for that matter, Bitcoin and crypto. I mean, all those haters, all the people fighting it, telling you how terrible it is. I mean, inevitably, as the value proposition, the growth proposition, all sort of like brings itself and shows up. They'll convert. I mean, who's against online shopping today? Nobody. Nobody. I mean, but I can tell you in the 1990s, oh, I mean, people say so many crazy things. Um, so a lot of things and innovation are on a path, on an inevitable path, which is one reason why um, even like after Banyan Hill terminated me, I mean, I felt a lot of pressure to change, the investment track or where we were, what we were in, because for 2.5 years or 3.5 years approximately, opportunity growth and innovation investments have gone nowhere. I mean, no, I mean, I think Palantir just hit a brand new high uh, today. I think Uber had hit like a new high, but essentially it's just a handful of stocks. And I had to come back down to sort of like my fundamental thinking, my base thinking, which is like, does this make sense? How big is, like be completely honest with myself. Does this make sense? Yeah, I mean, because, you're seeing stock after stock devastated 70, 80%. You should definitely go back and question your fundamental premise. Does it make sense? And there was nothing that I could look at and say that doesn't make sense. In other words, we're not going back. We're going to go forward. And if we're going to go forward, then there's only a certain number of companies that are capable of scaling up in any major like economic opportunity. Like if you're interested in EVs and you're not in Tesla, you're not likely to make a lot of money because I mean they are the leader by a ton. If you're you're looking at an opportunity in crypto, and if you're not in Coinbase, look, I mean, Coinbase is the world's largest exchange, and yes, there's all these conspiracy theories about they're keeping Bitcoin price down and they cooperate. I mean, that's just all par for the course. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to like learn to just like let it go through one year or another. But if you're in crypto, and at least in terms of a stock, you're not in Coinbase, you're gonna like miss out on the vast majority of the opportunity because my experience is that the big opportunities are dominated by the biggest companies, and so crypto is definitely a big opportunity. It's a huge opportunity. Obviously, there's crypto itself, which is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and what's going to happen over the next 4 years, right? Over the next 8 years. Well, here's my scenario, right? I think innovation is setting up to take off. I think we are going to see an absolute enormous boom that is going to make, yeah, I mean, what we saw in 2021, we're going to look at those prices. Not every single stock, but there's going to be a lot of stocks that actually have real innovation that, I mean, real innovation is what? Well, it makes a difference to your life. I mean, in other words, it changes your life, right? Those kinds of stocks, and that's, I mean, after 3.5 years, we really whittled ourselves down to like, hey, real companies doing real things with real economics, real business models. That's what we're in. Um, they're going to go past those 2021 highs. I mean, they're and in hindsight, you know, I'm looking really forward to 7 years, and out. They will actually look cheap. How can I tell you that? Well, go look at Amazon's price from like 1998. I can tell you that in 1999, people like that is the peak. It will never surpass that. Now, okay, it took 20 years, but that was like a historic bubble, right? I mean, I went and actually did this study. I don't have the chart anymore, but I did this study that if you bought Amazon at the 1999 peak, I think the peak to 99, it could have been in early 2000, or you chose to buy Berkshire Hathaway, which did better? Well, I can tell you that 3 or 4 years ago, Amazon had blown away Berkshire Hathaway, blown it away. So if you bought at the very top of one of the biggest tech innovation bubbles in 1999, 2000, or had the alternative to buy like the best value investor, Amazon just blew it away. Blew it away. I mean, it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. So we're going to have a similar kind of thing happen. Not every single stock, but some number of our stocks are just going to be enormous, just just huge, huge, huge winners. And you can kind of tell because the bigger the economic financial opportunity, the bigger the winner, right? I mean, there's a reason why Tesla, comes public in 2009, right? Yeah. 15 years and has a market capitalization of whatever, $800 billion. Why? Because the opportunity set that they're going after is large. It's obviously, there's transportation, which is EVs, but then there's autonomy, then there's the energy business. Now there's a robot business. Why is Bitcoin price just rocketed higher? Because it addresses a fundamental issue, which is about the nature of money. I mean, most of us instinctively get that money should be scarce, that it should not just be easily created. And Bitcoin addresses that. So you can go through the opportunity sets for our companies, and it's like, does it address a major problem, a major issue in human life? And if it does, then that company is in the path of huge opportunity. And it's very unlikely. I mean, we obviously have the diamond tier, we have smaller stocks, and some smaller stocks will do well. But look, folks, from researching markets, I can tell you this: the big opportunities are dominated by the big companies. Everyone wants to, go find the needle in the haystack, right? And you can do that, and from time to time, it'll work out. But the truth is that once a Tesla appears, once a Coinbase appears, once I'm trying to think, a Zoom appears, these like big companies that sort of like capture the central element of something, that people show that they have utility, adoption, reason to use. It's very difficult for a smaller company to displace them. It's very, very, very difficult. I mean, why? Because they have a base of customers and this network effect, which is that what you see with Amazon, or you see with with pretty much like all of the major platforms that have been created. Everyone comes there because everybody's already there. I mean, the easiest way to explain it is with eBay. Why does everyone list their stuff on eBay? Well, because that's where the buyers are, right? Why do the buyers come? Well, because that's where the sellers are. And once you create that kind of like network effect, it is really, really, really difficult to overcome that. So, bottom line on this election day is that the world is going to go on, and everything certainly looks set up for innovation to boom because of the utility that it provides, because of how much better these companies, their products and services are over what we currently have. And the proof of that is the fact that, younger people who have never, who first get, they can see the choices that are in front of them. Okay, you can have an old school bank that you have to, drive your car to and go use in person, or I can pick up my phone and essentially bank completely off my phone, send money to people, deposit stuff, move money in there. Which one would you choose? Yeah, it's very easy. I mean, the young people act like the first one doesn't exist, that the, like branch banking doesn't exist. They essentially just live, their entire financial lives, using various apps. All right. Like I said, I'm going to keep this live stream somewhat short unless there are a lot of questions. And let's see, bunch of comments. Rashad, who is a regular investor, a regular attendee. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can you please post the Facebook Live on link? I don't have Facebook. Yeah, I can. You'll still have to end up watching it on Facebook, to be truthful. Lots of messages. Sometimes it's worth getting emotional. It's okay. Anthony says, join the Tesla club with a cherry red Model Y. Although my wife has made herself the de facto benefactor, hey, those Teslas are very safe cars. And, I mean, I love my two. I kept my Model X because the price of it had dropped a lot. Um, to go back to an economic thing, the nature of innovation is that there's always something that costs less as it scales up. And the one thing, like if you compare internal combustion engines to EVs, I mean, you cannot reduce the cost of internal combustion engine cars anymore. I mean, yes, they only keep going up. But EVs, you can. Why? Because the cost of batteries are going down. Because Tesla and pretty much anyone that wants to compete with Tesla will have to adopt pretty much every innovation that they are using, which is that they're using what's called their Lego kit making technique. In other words, where they essentially have all the parts built together and they're just like put together like Legos. Why will their competitors have to do it? Because it's going to be way cheaper than anybody else. So if you don't want to compete, you're going to have to get their costs down to the same level as Tesla. So you're going to have to compete. So that means that, yeah, the products of innovation have like a curve where as they scale up, the per unit price goes down. Those benefits are passed onto customers, and that then drives adoption. So that's the innovation cycle. I'm taking um Tesla is bouncing. Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin is up. Uh, I think that, I'm not trying to be political here, but if you want to gauge uh, politics through markets, then I mean, obviously, Elon, with having come out for Trump in such a significant, strong way, I mean, obviously, that's a pretty much, that's going to move up and down, as with the sentiment for the election. Bitcoin and crypto, I mean, is another area where people definitely can sort of like gauge how things are going. Fannie Mae is another one, obviously, and Freddie Mac. If you see those are political trades, if you will. I was doing in the previous live stream. I saw that there's like Arch Coal was in there as a 52-week high. I was like, whoa. I mean, so you can kind of see like some of the, like people making election bets through the markets. Uh, it's hard to know, like, it's like how much you can trust them or not. I mean, obviously we'll get the results. Like my personal view is that I know many people are expecting a very contentious election. I'm hopeful, and I expect that actually this one will be less contentious, and we will have a clear winner, and it will be announced something like in real time. And I'm also hopeful that like we will just all be more, I don't know, respectful of our of our country. Lots of good wishes. Thank you. When will ATG have an ETF, and what can we do help to more with that? Well, I mean, we put out that idea about 2 years ago when we first started, and I think we poll people using our Substack on a regular basis. We probably have more people paying attention to us on Facebook and on YouTube and on X. We should probably move that poll onto there. But I think the last time we polled people, we had about $4 million worth of interest, and at a 0.5% expense ratio, we needed something like 20 to 30 million to have an ETF. And so we're nowhere near that. Now, I mean, one of the things is obviously like, the vast majority of our investments have been in a bear market for for the entire financial life of ATG Digital. And generally speaking, despite however people feel about, the investments, people tend to come in at highs. People tend to come in when They see other people making money when they see other people getting rich. So my best guess is that we will get more support as more of our stocks enter bull markets, as we hit certain milestones that matter to our community. Bitcoin hitting $1 million, some predictions, forecasts, by me coming true, which get us publicity, attention. People will come to us. Tesla getting to whatever 2 trillion in market capitalization, that would matter. So I think that that's what we're gonna have to see. I'm gonna have to have gotten some calls right, people to make more money. We don't have any marketing of any kind. So we have taken the view that, our marketing is ultimately our results. And so we're going to have to be successful, in our investments for us to make it as a business. That is going to be our marketing. And so that's what we'll have to do. So we'll poll people again and see what people are there. Anthony, thank you. I appreciate that. Um, yeah, our platinum tier is our options tier, is generally our short-term trading tier, and we've just been riding the same opportunities. We've been riding crypto using leveraged ETFs. We've been riding Mankind. We've been riding. We've got a big bet on crypto miners, and we're just going to do that. The market environment has changed a great deal since 2021. There's not this big, wide, everything kind of like that is in the growth sector going up. Now there's pockets, and it moves, and so you kind of have to be in one pocket, and then you got to move to the next pocket. We've also started to use leveraged ETFs in a big way. That way, with a much smaller move, we can sort of like go in and out. I know people want to trade on a regular basis. Our ideal trade timing, we used to say was like 30 days. I'll say now it's probably close to like what we would like to do is be in and out in about 7 to 10 days. I like to, but but the markets are much, much more, I don't know what the right word is. So like shifty. And so like Bitcoin looked like it was about to hit new highs and would, like we got one set of trades out, and I was like, let's go one more round. And then of course it went back down to whatever, 66 or something. So then that extends the time frame out. But I feel pretty good about Bitcoin, giving us something close to what I've forecast. I've really studied this. That would be, I think, one of my highest conviction bets is Bitcoin. And if I'm right about Bitcoin, then it's going to obviously be right about the entire crypto ecosystem: Coinbase, Robinhood, PayPal, Square, /Block, Ethereum, DeFi, and any number of other crypto opportunities. Chris M, appreciate you from Wisconsin, sir. I'm not upset. I was just being emotional, just to be truthful. Do I recommend index funds we can invest in? We use index funds for particularly in the platinum tier. We'll sometimes use it, but the point of a service like ATG Digital is to give you a chance of doing better than an index, right? And we have some track record of it. From 2016 till 2021, we did very well, and we measured it for that time. When we pretty much beat the S&P 500, I think almost every year. I think in 2019, I think we were not ahead of the S&P 500. Obviously now, I think if we had been able to keep our performance measurement, which we couldn't because Bain and Hill played for Bloomberg systems and everything, we couldn't afford that. And we still can't afford that. We lost track of our performance. So I'm pretty sure we'd be behind. But the point of ATG Digital is to try and do better, and not just do a little bit better, but do a lot better. If I was to use a index fund, I've said this, which is like my view is that the markets are now over dominated, over owned, by these very large companies that now trade for 30 or 40 times earnings, 10, 15 times sales while showing 3 to 6% growth. That is not like someplace where you're going to end up making a lot of money. So if I was going to buy an index fund, I would definitely go for small cap, mid cap, and focus on growth, because in the end, that's what all investors are focused on. Yeah, absolutely. I just I saw that message, and it just reminded me like I think immigrants have a special a different relationship with this country, because we came here leaving whatever we had behind, parents, family, in some cases, whatever assets we had. I mean, that was not the case with me. And also, in addition to that, oftentimes as immigrants, our parents made great sacrifices to send us here. Like I, for example, was sent here by my parents, and they, I don't know, spent so much of their hard-earned money to send me to go to college here. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, we just, like the sentiment is just a little bit different. So, but I appreciate all of your concern. Um, um, we have not been hiring. We are like sort of like still in, when we started ATG Digital, I said we were, we had to go through 3 steps. We had to learn to sort of like crawl like a baby, and we're still in the crawling stage. We are cash flow positive enough that we're not like, in any dire straits. We have enough money to pay the team on a regular basis. Obviously, to build out our systems so that the folks that are using our subscribers have a good experience when they're on our website, create content on a regular basis, try and make that content as best as we can. But once we have a greater number of subscribers, and I think we have something like 2,100, 2,200 subscribers. I think we peaked at 2,400 in March this year. We hope that that our approach, which is a community civic based approach, rather than a marketing based approach like what Banyan Hill had, that that it will bring more subscribers in. In other words, if doing the right thing by our subscribers ends up being the right thing, then people will tell each other, people will come, and we will be hiring hopefully sometime in the near future. Thank you for all these good wishes, and appreciate everyone coming in for this live stream. I, of course, have a very important thing that I need to go do, which is I need to go and vote today. I'm hopeful that the lines are not too long. And then, I'm going to check out my Instagram. I'm going to go to the polling site unless they stop me and try and take a picture. So I'll post that. Yeah, maybe there'll be a giant line or not. Maybe I'll live stream from there. We'll see. Anyway, bottom line to this live stream, hang in there, folks. Whichever side you support, remember, we're all Americans. We have an amazing, incredible country. We have amazing, incredible opportunities. And we'll wake up tomorrow and that will all be there. Yeah, we'll all be Americans, and all these opportunities will be there in front of you. Thank you all, everyone. This is Paul saying